turn it on and we'll read these kids a story. Let's see. All right. Are you guys want to say hi to your cousins?
Make sure you know how much you read.
So do you guys want to say hi? Wave your hands.
Hi.
Say hi to your cousins. All right. There we go. All right. Now, I don't want your feet on me. Get those feet off of me, please. I don't want your dirty feet on my lap. Yucky-o. Get that. Okay, that's close enough. All right. Very good. So, this is, what's it called? The Magician's Nephew, Chapter 10. And the title of it is The First Joke and Other Matters. So, we ready to go?
Yeah.
So we go 1, 2, 3,
Go.
go. Okay, it was, of course, the lion's voice. The children had long felt sure that he would speak, yet it was a lovely and terrible shock when he did. Out of the trees, wild people stepped forth. Gods and fauns and satyrs and dwarfs. Out of the river rose the river god and his naiad daughters, and all these and all the beasts and birds in their different voices, low or high or thick or clear, replied, "Hail, Aslan! We hear and obey, we are awake, we love, we think, we speak, we know." "But please, we don't know very much yet," said a nosy and snorty kind of a voice. And that really did make the children jump, for it was the cab horse who had just spoken. "Good old Strawberry," said Polly. "I am glad he was one of the ones picked out to be a talking beast." And the cabbie, who was now standing beside the children, said, "Strike me pink." Have you ever been struck pink? Strike me pink.
Well, what's that mean?
It just means wow, is what it means. "I always did say that os, meaning horse, had a lot of sense, though. Creatures, I give you yourselves," said the strong, happy voice of Aslan. "I give to you forever this land of Narnia. I give to you the woods, the fruits, the rivers. I give to you the stars, and I give you myself. Dumb beasts whom I have not chosen are yours also. Treat them gently and cherish them, but do not go back on your ways, lest you cease to be talking beasts. For out of them you are taken, and into them you can return. Do not do so." Now, can you believe that? Some of the beasts were talking horses, talking lions,
Pigs.
maybe some pigs even.
Chickens.
Hey, I never heard of a talking chicken, but maybe he was there too. "All right, no, Aslan, we won't," said everyone. But one perky jackdaw added in a loud voice, "No fear," and everyone else had finished just before he said it, so his words came out quite clear and in a dead silence. "And perhaps you have found out how awful that can be, say at a party." The jackdaw became so embarrassed that it hid its head under its wings as if it were going to sleep. And all the other animals began making various queer noises, which are their ways of laughing, and which, of course, no one has ever heard of in our world, because animals don't laugh, do they? Animals don't talk here, do they? Not really. It'd be fun if they did, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Talk to Rosie.
We would talk to Rosie. Rosie would talk to us, probably. She'd tell you, "I want to eat. I want to eat. I want to eat." That's what she'd say.
I need to go to the bathroom. Those people are not supposed to be here.
Yes, yes. So the other animals began making various queer noises, which are their ways of laughing, and which, of course, no one has ever heard in our world. They tried at first to repress it, but Aslan said, "Laugh and fear not, creatures. Now that you are no longer dumb and witless, you need not always be grave, for jokes as well as justice come with speech." So they all let themselves go, and there was such merriment that the jackdaw himself plucked up courage again and perched on the cab horse's head between his ears, clapping his wings, and said, "Aslan, Aslan, have I made the first joke? Will everybody always be told how I made the first joke?" "No, little friend," said the lion, "you have not made the first joke, you have only been the first joke." Then everybody laughed even more, but the jackdaw didn't mind and laughed just as loud till the horse shook its head and the jackdaw lost his balance and fell off, but remembered his wings as they were still new to it before he reached the ground. So that's fun. "Now," said Aslan, "Narnia is established. We must take thought for keeping it safe. I will call some of you to my council. Come hither to me, you chief dwarf, and you river god, and you oak, and the he owl, and both the ravens and the bull elephant. We must talk together, for though the world is not 5 hours old, and evil has already entered it." The creatures he had named came forward, and he turned away eastward with them. The others all began talking, saying things like, "What did he say had entered the world? What,
Evil.
An evil, but they thought it was a needle.
What's a needle?
That's what they said. What's a needle? No, he didn't say a needle. He said a weevil.
What's a
What's a weevil?
A weevil is a bug.
Well, what's that? Look here, said Diggory to Polly. I've got to go after him. Aslan, I mean the lion. I must speak to him, right? Do you think we can, said Polly. I wouldn't dare. I have got to, said Diggory. It's about Mother. Why does he want to talk to Aslan about his mother?
I know.
Why do you think?
Because his mother was ill.
His mother was
And
sick,
so-
like she was dying, like sick, right?
Yeah, so he wants some medicine.
He wants some medicine for his mother. Yep, you got it. You got it, you got it. So all three of them stepped out boldly, or as boldly as they could, toward the assembly of animals. The creatures were so busy talking to one another and making friends that they didn't notice the three humans until they were very close. Nor did Uncle Andrew, who was standing trembling in his button boots, a good way off and shouting, but by no means at the top of his voice, Diggory, come back! Come back! Back at once when you're told I forbid you to go a step further. Why does he want Diggory to come back? Who does?
I think.
Because Diggory has the rings, and Uncle Andrew wants to escape, right? Because he's a chicken. Uncle Andrew's a big old chicken, that's what he is.
What?
Yep, he is. Well, he said the he-beaver at last, what in the name of Aslan are these? Please, began Diggory in a rather brusque voice when the rabbit said, they're a kind of a large lettuce, that's my belief. So this guy thinks that the kids are lettuces. No, we're not. Honestly, we're not, said Polly hastily. We're not at all nice to eat. There, said the mole, they can talk. Whoever heard of a talking lettuce? Perhaps, they're the second joke, suggested the jackdaw, but it wasn't true. A panther, which had been washing his face, stopped for a moment to say, well, if they are, they're nothing like so good as the first one. At least I don't see anything very funny about them. It yawned and went on with his wash. Oh, please, said Diggory, I'm in such a hurry. I want to see the lion. All this time the cabbie had been trying to catch Strawberry's eye, and now he did. Now, Strawberry, old boy, he said, you know me. We ain't going to stand here and say as you don't know me. What's this thing talking about, said the horse. Well, said Strawberry, very slowly, because why did the cabbie and Strawberry know each other?
Because Strawberry was a horse that.
Was his horse, right?
Yeah.
And it used it to draw his cab, right? So Strawberry used to pull the cab, right?
Yeah.
That's it. It does begin to come back, said the horse thoughtfully. Yes, let me think now. Let me think. Yes, you used to tie that horrid black thing behind me and then hit me to make me run. And however far I ran, this black thing would always be coming a rattle behind me. We had our living to earn, see, said the cabbie, yours and mine the same. And if there hadn't been so much work, there wouldn't have been no stable, and no hay, and no mash, and no oats. For you did get a taste of oats when I could afford them, which no one can deny. Oats, said the horse, pricking up his ears. Horses like oats, did you know that? Yes, I remember something about that. Yes, I remember more and more. You were always sitting up, somewhere behind me, and I was always running in front, pulling you, and that black thing. I know I did all the work. So the horse was sort of mad about having to be the cab horse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Summer I grant you, said the cabbie, work for you and cool seat for me, but what about winter, old boy, when you was keeping yourself warm, and I was sitting up there with my feet like ice and my nose fair pinched off me with the wind, and my hands and numb, I couldn't hardly hold the reins. What if your nose froze off? What if your nose froze off? That'd be bad, right? It fell right off, your nose got so cold it just fell off on the floor like clunk.
That would be bad.
See, that's what he's saying, right? It's a hard, cruel country, said Strawberry, and there was no grass, all hard stones. Too true, mate, too true, said the cabbie. A hard world it was. I always did say those paving stones weren't fair on any horse. That London what is, I didn't like it no more than what you did. You were a country horse, and I was a country man. I used to sing in the choir, I did, down at home, but there wasn't a living for me there. So he moved to London with the horse because he couldn't make a living at his home. Which wasn't a good move, it didn't sound like. Oh, please, said Diggory, could we get on? The lion's getting further and further away, and I do want to speak to him so dreadfully badly. Look here, Strawberry, said the cabbie, that young gentleman is something on his mind and he wants to talk to the lion about. I'm you call Aslan, him you call Aslan. Suppose you was to let him ride on your back, which he'd take it very kindly, and trot him over to where the lion is, and me and the little girl will be following along. Ride, said Strawberry. Oh, I remember now. That means sitting on my back. Do horses let people sit on their back?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I remember there used to be a little one of you two-leggers who used to do that long ago. He used to have a little hard square lumps of some white stuff that he gave me. Who knows what's little and hard and square and white?
I know.
What is it?
Sugar.
Sugar. Do you think horses like sugar? They
Yeah.
do. Do you like sugar?
Yeah.
Yes, we like sugar too, don't we? Yeah.
I love sugar.
Oh yes, it tasted wonderful, sweeter than grass. Oh, that'll be sugar, said the cabbie. Please, Strawberry, begged Dearie. Do let me get up and take me to Aslan. Well, I don't mind, said the horse, not for once in a way. Up you get. Good old Strawberry, said the cabbie. Here, young'un, I've got you a lift. Diggory was soon on Strawberry's back and quite comfortable, for he had ridden bareback before on his own pony. So is Diggory getting to ride the horse? Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
Would you guys like to ride a horse?
Yeah.
Might be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
When have we saw a real cow?
I believe it. I've seen a real camel sometimes too. They're pretty funny looking, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're really
Yeah.
funny.
You've
Yeah.
seen it in Africa.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, now get up, Strawberry, he said. You don't happen to have a bit of that white stuff about you, I suppose, said the horse. No, I'm afraid I haven't, said Diggory. Well, it can't be helped, said Strawberry, and off they went. At that moment, a large bulldog, who had been sniffing and staring very hard, said, Look, isn't there another of these queer creatures over there beside the river, under those trees? Then all the animals looked and saw Uncle Andrew standing very still among the rhododendrons, hoping he wouldn't be noticed. Why does Uncle Andrew hope he's not going to be noticed? He's afraid, isn't he? He's afraid of the animals. Yeah, don't try. Don't tell. Come on, said several voices. Let's go out and find out. So while Strawberry was briskly trotting away with Diggory in one direction and Polly and the cabbie were following on foot, most of the creatures rushed toward Uncle Andrew with roars and barks and grunts and various noises of cheerful interest. Now we must now go back to Andrew a bit and explain what the whole scene had looked like from Uncle Andrew's point of view. It had not made all the same impression on him as on the cabbie and the children, for what you see and hear, this is important, depends a good deal on where you are standing. It also depends on what sort of person you are. Ever since the animals had first appeared, Uncle Andrew had been shrinking further and further back into the thicket. He watched them very hard, of course, but he wasn't really interested in seeing what they were doing, only seeing whether they were going to make a rush at him. Why is that? Because he's afraid, right? He's afraid the animals will rush him and eat him, right? Like the witch, he was dreadfully practical. He simply didn't notice that Aslan was choosing one pair out of the kind of beasts. All he saw, or thought he saw, was a lot of dangerous wild animals walking vaguely about, and he kept on wondering why the other animals didn't run away from the big lion. When the great moment came and the beast spoke, he missed the whole point for a rather interesting reason. When the lion had first begun singing, long ago when it was still quite dark, he had realized that the noise was a song. And he had disliked the song very much. It made him think and feel things he did not want to think and feel. Then when the sun rose and he saw the singer was a lion, only a lion, he said to himself, he tried his hardest to make believe that it wasn't singing and never had been singing, only roaring as any lion might in a zoo in our own world. Of course it can't really have been singing, he thought. I must have imagined it. I've been letting my nerves get out of order. Whoever heard of a lion singing? And the longer and more beautifully the lion sang, the harder Uncle Andrew tried to make himself believe that he would hear nothing but roaring. Okay, now, there's the important part. The trouble about trying to make yourself stupider than you really are, okay, trying to make yourself stupider than you really are is that you very often succeed. Uncle Andrew did. He soon did hear nothing but roaring in Aslan's song. Soon he couldn't have heard anything else even if he had wanted to. And when at last the lion spoke and said, Narnie, you awake, he didn't hear any words, he only heard a snarl. And when the beast spoke in answer, he heard only barkings, growlings, bayings, and howlings. And when they laughed, well, you can imagine, that was worse for Uncle Andrew than anything that had happened yet. Such a horrid, bloodthirsty den of hungry and angry brutes he had never heard in his life. Then, to his utter rage and horror, he saw the other three humans actually walking out into the open to meet the animals. Now, he doesn't like it, does he, that the other kids want to meet the animals? Because he's afraid, I think. That's his deal. And he made himself stupider than he really was, didn't he? And if you try to make yourself stupider, what happens? Soon you get stupider. Not a good idea, right? The fools, he said to himself, now those brutes will eat the rings along with the children, and I'll never be able to get home again. What a selfish little boy that digger is, and all the others are just as bad. If they want to throw away their own lives, that's their business. But what about me? They don't seem to think of that. No one thinks of me, right?
That's because he's a bully.
He's a bully, isn't he? Yep. Finally, when the whole crowd of animals came rushing toward him, he turned and ran for his life. That's funny, right? Now, the animal's really nice, but he thinks they're scary, right? Now everyone could see that the air of that young world was really doing the old gentleman good. In London, he had been far too old to run. Now he ran at a speed which would have made him certain to win the 100 yards race at any prep school in England. His coattails flying out behind him were a fine sight, but of course it was no use. Many of the animals behind him were swift ones. It was the first run they had ever taken in their lives, and they were all longing to use their new muscles. After him, they shouted. Perhaps he's the Neville. Remember the Neville?
Oh, yeah, right.
They thought maybe Uncle Andrew was the Neville. Tally-ho, Tavinti, cut him off, round him up, keep it up, hooray! In a very few minutes, some of them got ahead of him. They lined up in a row and barred his way. Others hemmed him in from behind. Whenever he looked, he saw terrors. Antlers of great elks and the huge face of an elephant towered over him. Heavy, serious-minded bears and boars grunted behind him. Cool-looking leopards and panthers with sarcastic faces, as he thought, stared at him and waved their tails. What struck him most of all was the number of open mouths. The animals had really opened their mouths to pant. He thought they opened their mouths to eat him.
Oh.
Uncle Andrew stood trembling and swaying this way and that. He had never liked animals at the best of times, being usually rather afraid of them, and of course years of doing cruel experiments on animals had made him hate and fear them more. Remember the guinea pig?
Yeah, right. He sent the guinea pig
To the land of the little lakes, right?
It's the wealthy king of the world.
Yeah, he sent that guinea pig over there because he didn't even care about that guinea pig, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's mean. Now, sir, said the bulldog in his businesslike way, are you an animal, a vegetable, or a mineral?
No.
That was what he really said, but all Uncle Andrew heard was growl. And guess what? We read the whole chapter.
Oh,
man! All right, now we got to shut off this deal. So I want to think. What do you think the next chapter might be about?
I think, I see it.
Can you see me coming? You want to go see? You want to go see me? We got to stop it. There we go. Boom.